Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on this incredible concentration of air and naval power that's currently assembled under the U.S. Southern Command, SOUTHCOM. We're going to look at the ships, the aircraft, and the whole strategic picture they create across an entire hemisphere. And hey, right off the bat, if you're into this kind of clear, no-nonsense analysis of military strategy, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't want to miss what we have coming up next. So let's just jump right in. This quote, it really sets the stage for the massive scale we're talking about here. This isn't just a handful of ships on patrol. We're talking about a complete military machine designed for presence, for deterrence, and for a kind of rapid response that sends a powerful message without a single word being spoken. Now, to really wrap our heads around the kind of power we're about to break down, we first have to understand the sheer size of the chessboard. So let's take a look at SOUTHCOM's area of operations. Okay, take a look at this. This map lays out the whole theater. We're looking at Central America, South America, and of course the critical waterways of the Caribbean. This is not some small coastal region. It's a huge geographic area where the placement of every single asset has a very specific strategic purpose. And here you can see how this huge theater gets broken down into these key operational zones. The Caribbean, that becomes a hub for detection and deterrence. The Gulf of Venezuela, well, that's the perfect spot for carrier-based fighters to operate. And meanwhile, you've got places like Puerto Rico acting as forward bases for some seriously specialized aircraft, in this case, electronic attack squadrons. Every zone has its part to play in the bigger strategy. All right, now for the main event. At the very heart of this naval force is the ultimate symbol of American power projection, the CarrierStrikeGroup. The best way to think about it is as a sovereign, mobile military base that can project power pretty much anywhere on the planet. So what exactly is a carrier strike group? Well, it's a whole group of ships built around an aircraft carrier. But it's not just about the carrier itself. It's about the entire ecosystem of warships that protect it and, add their own incredible firepower. It allows the whole group to handle any threat, in the air, on the sea, and even under the surface. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The centerpiece, of course, is the USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier ever put to sea. It's got this protective shield of cruisers and destroyers that provide a wall of air defense and some serious long-range strike capability. Then, lurking under the waves, you've got nuclear-powered submarines. And let's not forget, the carrier brings its own air force to the fight, Carrier Air Wing 8. But here's the thing. Naval power isn't just about owning the sea. It's also about projecting power onto the land. And that, my friends, is where the Amphibious Ready Group and the U.S. Marines step into the picture. The Iwo Jima RG is basically the delivery system. If the Carrier Strike Group is the hammer, the RG is the hand that can reach out and place a fully equipped Marine force anywhere there's a coastline, and they bring their own air support and logistics with them. So who's on board these ships? That would be the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, a totally self-contained force that's ready for anything, from humanitarian missions to full-on combat. They're carried by this fleet of vessels, like the USS Iwo Jima, which is kind of like a mini aircraft carrier itself. And they're supported by their own aircraft, including the V-22 Ospreys of the awesomely named Thunder Chickens Squadron. Okay, so we've covered the sea. Now let's look up. The air power that SOUTHCOM has at its disposal is diverse. It's layered and it is incredibly powerful, coming from both the sea and from land bases. Let's start with the carrier's own air wing. This is not just a bunch of fighter jets. You've got your FAA-18 Super Hornets for strike missions, sure. But then you have the EA-18G Growlers that can literally jam enemy radar and communications, and the E-2D Hawkeyes that act as the fleet's eyes in the sky. It's a complete mobile air force at sea. And that carrier air power is complemented by the long arm of the U.S. Air Force. See, while the carrier gives you tactical flexibility and an immediate response, the land-based bombers, like the B-2 Spirit, the B-1 Lancer, and the legendary B-52, they bring strategic reach and the ability to carry massive payloads over huge distances. And then the air component is filled out by this whole host of specialized players. You've got the fearsome AC-130 gunships for close air support. You have high-altitude U-2 spy planes and MQ-9 Reaper drones gathering intelligence. And then you have the absolutely essential KC-135 tankers that keep all these other planes in the sky. It's a complete aerial ecosystem. So we've seen all the individual pieces on the board, the ships, the Marines, the planes. Now let's bring it all together and really get a sense of the sheer firepower this combined force represents. Right, and this is a really crucial point. It's not just about kinetic strike capability. This force has special forces helicopters for precision raids, the USN's Comfort Hospital ship for humanitarian missions, and even the Coast Guard is involved. It shows the whole spectrum of options available, everything from soft power to very hard power. But let's talk about that hard power for a minute. All those destroyers and submarines, they carry one of the most effective long-range weapons ever made. So, any idea how many are in the theater right now? The answer is over 248. 248 Tomahawk land attack missiles. Just let that number sink in for a second. Every single one is a GPS-guided cruise missile that can hit a target hundreds of miles inland with unbelievable accuracy. That is a truly staggering amount of firepower, ready to go at a moment's notice. And get this, that number, that's just the sea-launched missiles. That doesn't even count the advanced, stealthy JSSMs. Those are the Joint Air-to-Surface Standoff missiles that can be launched from the Air Force's heavy bombers. That adds a whole other, overwhelming layer of strike potential to the mix.
And that brings us to the end of this breakdown. We've seen how SOUTHCOM has put together a true multi-domain force, right? Combining sea, air, and land projection capabilities into a single, incredibly powerful command. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.
Hey, if you found this analysis valuable, please go ahead and hit that like button, share it with someone who might be interested, and of course, subscribe for more. We really want to hear what you think in the comments, and you can find the links to all our social media down in the description below.
We'll leave you with one final thought to chew on. When you assemble an arsenal of this magnitude, a floating fortress, an amphibious invasion force, and a multi-layered air armada, what is the powerful message that gets sent across an entire hemisphere without ever firing a single shot? Think about that. We'll see you on the next one.